I still remember how our story began. Not with fireworks. Not with something big or dramatic. Just with sunlight. Soft, warm sunlight falling through my kitchen window on a normal morning. He was sitting across from me, drinking coffee from a chipped blue mug. We were laughing about something small, something I don't even remember anymore. But I remember the feeling. It felt like the world had opened a quiet door, just for us. It felt safe. It felt right. Back then, our life was simple. We shared tiny moments that felt big to me. The way he squeezed my hand when we crossed the street. The way he leaned close when he whispered a joke. The way he looked at me like I was someone worth loving. And maybe that was what made everything so powerful. He made me feel seen. Like I wasn't invisible anymore. Like I finally belonged to a place, a person, a future. I believed in him. I believed in us. I believed that love like this could last forever. But love can be loud in the beginning, and very silent when it starts to fade. The first signs were small. So small that I told myself not to worry. He took longer to answer my messages. Hours instead of minutes. Then sometimes, no answer at all. When we sat together, his smile changed. It wasn't warm anymore. It was a polite smile, the kind you give a stranger in an elevator. His eyes used to follow me when I moved around the room. But one day, I realized they didn't. He looked at his phone. He looked at the window. He looked at everything except me. I asked if he was tired. He said yes. I asked if he was stressed. He said work was busy. I asked if we were okay. He said of course. But his voice felt thin, like paper that had been folded too many times. Inside me, fear began to grow. A soft fear at first, like a whisper. Then, louder, like footsteps in the dark. I wanted to trust him. I really did. But every night, when I tried to sleep, a small voice inside me would say, I told myself it was stress, but my heart whispered it was something else. Still, I ignored the fear. Because sometimes love makes us blind. And sometimes we want to stay blind. The truth arrived on a normal afternoon. No storm, no dramatic music. Just a quiet moment that changed everything. His phone buzzed on the table while he was in the shower. I wasn't trying to look. I wasn't trying to spy. But the screen lit up, and a message appeared. A name I didn't recognize, a heart emoji, and words that hit me like cold water. I miss you. Tonight? For a second, I didn't move. I couldn't breathe. The room felt too bright, too sharp, like reality had cracked open. I picked up the phone with shaking hands. My heart wasn't beating fast. It wasn't beating at all. I scrolled, message after message. Words full of love, desire, secrets. Their secrets, not ours. I felt the world grow distant, as if someone had turned down the sound. My ears rang. My fingers felt numb. Even my tears refused to fall. It was strange. I always imagined that discovering betrayal would make me angry, wild shouting. But betrayal is quieter than that. It's a slow, heavy silence that fills your whole body. When he came out of the shower and saw the phone in my hand, his face changed. Not with guilt. Not with shame. But with fear of losing the comfort of the life he had with me. And that hurt even more. He began speaking fast. Too fast. It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I was confused. I love you. I'll stop. I'll change. Please, please don't leave. He cried. He reached for my hands. He held me like someone holding a fragile object they had already broken. I listened, but I wasn't really hearing him. His words felt far away, like echoes in a tunnel. Part of me wanted to run. Part of me wanted to scream. But a bigger part, the part that had built a future with him, was terrified of losing everything. And maybe that is why I stayed. Not because I was strong, but because I was scared. Scared of starting again. Scared of being alone. Scared of looking at the mirror and asking myself why I wasn't enough. So when he asked for forgiveness, I said the words he wanted to hear. I forgive you. But the truth is, something inside me cracked at that exact moment. My voice said, I forgive you. But my heart whispered, I don't know how to heal from this. He hugged me. He thanked me. He promised to be better. But I felt nothing. No relief. No hope. Just a quiet, heavy emptiness inside my chest. I thought forgiveness would fix everything. But instead, it created a space between us. A space filled with unspoken hurt, silent questions, and a new fear. The fear that maybe the love I believed in was no longer real. And as I lay awake that night, listening to his calm breathing beside me, one truth settled deep into my heart. I forgave him. But I didn't understand the price of that forgiveness. When I forgave him, I thought the story would go back to normal. I thought our life would become soft again, like before. I thought my heart would forget, but it didn't. Instead, it felt like there was a ghost living between us. The ghost of what he did. The ghost of the messages. The ghost of the person he chose when he didn't choose me. At first, I tried to act normal. We woke up, had breakfast, went to work, watched shows at night. From the outside, nothing had changed. But inside me, everything was different. When his phone buzzed, my body reacted before my mind. My heart started racing. My stomach felt tight. I pretended to keep reading, or cooking, or cleaning. But my eyes always went to that phone. When he went to the bathroom, I sometimes picked it up, just to check the time, just to move it. At least, that's what I told myself. But my fingers knew the password. My fingers knew where to scroll. My fingers knew what I was really looking for. Proof that he was still lying. Proof that he wasn't. Even when I found nothing, I didn't really feel safe. Because the problem wasn't only on his phone. The problem was in my heart. When he went out with friends, I smiled and said, have fun. But inside, a different voice spoke. Where are you really going? Who will be there? Will you come back to me, or to someone else? At dinner with family or friends, I wore a happy face. I laughed at jokes. I nodded, I listened, I played my part. Sometimes people even said, you two look so good together. And I would smile. A small, careful smile, because they didn't know that I was breaking quietly beside him. By the end of each day, I felt tired. Not just physically, tired, emotionally tired. Tired from pretending, tired from fighting with invisible thoughts inside my own head. That's when I understood something important. Forgiveness is not a magic key. It opens the door, but the pain still walks beside you. I was so afraid of losing him that I started to lose myself instead. I stopped asking hard questions because I didn't want to start a fight. I stopped sharing my feelings because I didn't want to be too emotional. I stopped talking about my dreams because they felt too big, too heavy. And he already made me feel like I was too much. So I tried to become less. I laughed softer. I spoke less. I said, it's okay, even when it wasn't. If he came home late, I told myself, don't say anything. Don't make him angry. Just be grateful he came home. If he forgot something important to me, like a small plan or a special date, I said, it doesn't matter. Maybe I'm asking for too much. I changed my clothes, my habits, my attitude, trying to be more understanding, more cool, more easy to love. And yes, he did become better in some ways. He came home earlier. He texted more. He held my hand again sometimes. But one night, as I was lying in bed, I realized a painful truth. He got better. But I got smaller. I was shrinking myself to keep us alive. I was bending myself into shapes that didn't feel like me. I was trying so hard to hold our relationship together that I let my own heart fall apart. Then, like a quiet light inside my mind, a thought appeared. I didn't just forgive him. I abandoned myself. The turning point didn't come from a big fight. It didn't come from another betrayal. It came from a very simple moment. One morning, I was getting ready for work. I stood in front of the mirror to tie my hair. The light was soft, a little gray. I looked at my reflection and I almost didn't recognize myself. My eyes looked tired all the time, not just from lack of sleep, but from lack of peace. My shoulders were tense, like I was always waiting for bad news. My smile, when I tried to force it, looked weak and empty. I stared at myself for a long time, and then I asked a question I had been avoiding for months. Who are you now? Not who are we, not who is he, but who am I? Later that week, a friend said to me, "You seem different, quieter, less, you." Her words cut deep, because they were true. I had become a version of myself, built around his comfort, his needs, his mistakes. Not my joy, not my truth. That night, as I lay in bed beside him, I listened to his breathing again, just like the night I forgave him. But this time, something new grew inside me. Not anger, not hate, just clarity. A calm, honest voice inside me said, healing didn't begin with him. It began with a single decision, to choose myself. In that moment, I understood. He could apologize. He could change his habits. He could cry, promise, and try. But he could not heal me. Only I could do that. Letting go didn't happen in one day. It wasn't loud. It wasn't a dramatic scene like in a movie. It was slow, quiet, and very real. One evening, I sat across from him at the same table where we used to laugh over coffee. My hands were shaking a little, but my voice was strangely calm. I told him I couldn't continue like this. I told him I needed space. I told him I needed to find myself again, even if that meant losing him. He was confused. He said, "But I changed." He said, "We can still fix this." He said many things, but for the first time in a long time, I listened not to his words, but to my own heart. And my heart said, "Go." So I did. The first days alone were hard. The silence in my room felt heavy. I missed the sound of another person moving around, breathing, living near me. But slowly, that silence changed. It stopped feeling like emptiness and started feeling like space. Space for me. I began taking morning walks. The air felt different on my face, somehow cleaner. I listened to my footsteps on the ground and thought, these are my steps, my path. I sat alone in cafes with a book or a notebook, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel lonely. I was keeping myself company, and it was enough. I started talking gently to myself. Instead of saying, "You are not enough," I tried saying, "You are learning." Instead of asking, why wasn't I enough for him, I started asking, am I enough for myself? The healing was not fast. Some days I felt strong. Other days I cried over old pictures or memories that came back without warning. But even on the hard days, I kept moving. Step by step, breath by breath. Because healing is a long road, but every step counts. Looking back now, I can see my story more clearly. I forgave too fast. I tried to hold us together before I held myself. I let fear speak louder than I stayed when my heart was begging me to leave. I smiled when my soul was asking for help. I called it forgiveness. But really, it was fear of being alone. Still, I don't hate the version of me who stayed. She did her best. She loved deeply. She believed in second chances. There is nothing weak about that. But I am proud of the version of me who finally walked away. The one who stood in front of the mirror and chose to see herself again. The one who decided that her heart was not a place for half-truths or half-healings. I have learned something I want to share with anyone listening. Anyone who has been betrayed. Anyone who has forgiven but still feels broken inside. Self-worth is not something another person gives you. It's something you build, piece by piece. Every time you choose yourself. Love can be beautiful. Love can also break you. But the story doesn't end there. Because healing can rebuild you. Maybe not into who you were before, but into someone stronger, softer, wiser, And finally, whole again.